Building and maintaining fulfilling interpersonal relationships is no easy task. Some may argue that they ostensibly require the time, effort, and work of a part-time or full-time job. Whether that is true or not remains to be seen. However, there is certainly no question about effort and its involvement into these sorts of relationships. To keep and maintain friendships requires a certain level of effort, surely, but how much effort does a romantic endeavor require? Romantic relationships, at least under most circumstances, are far more intimate and personal. The level of intimacy experienced in such a relationship goes beyond that of acquaintances, friends, and even family. One byproduct of the intimacy component is vulnerability, as in, one becomes more vulnerable when they enter into this type of relationship. To be vulnerable and put trust in one's significant other requires great courage, because there is the realization that they could betray your trust at any moment if they wished to. Indeed, the trust component is difficult to come by for some. They may have suffered a negative experience that left a sour taste in their mouth, as well as a reluctance to engage in similar pursuits again. The point is that relationships are complex entities, but they do not have to be that way all the time. A multitude of people desire a romantic relationship, but they fail to seriously think about this question: is a relationship right for me? What ends up happening to people who do not seriously ponder this question is that they prematurely jump the metaphorical gun. They end up committing themselves to someone they do not want to be with, or they are simply not mature enough to handle the situation. Today's video will examine the consequences of entering a romantic relationship without proper thought. Additionally, the discussion will elaborate on why every person should question if they truly desire a relationship and if they are suited for one. Asking these questions evidently includes the present time frame, as well as the remainder of one's life. To begin, why should you think carefully about whether you want a relationship? Well, for starters, you must know yourself. Before you can go any further, you need to know your habits, motivations, purpose, and anything else relevant to your conduct. Are you secure in yourself? Are you managing all of your responsibilities effectively? These responsibilities could be related to work, school, or another type of commitment. A person who has these aspects of life under control is able to consider a relationship because they have everything more or less taken care of. The difficulty that arises is when there are unresolved issues plaguing them at work, school, or another commitment. Until these issues are addressed and ultimately under control, they should not consider a relationship, as it will create further distress. If the message has not clicked up until this point, here is another way of looking at it. One remark about circumstance is that people can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. In other words, bad timing, because it is not the right time to engage in something, and one should refrain if they can. This is exactly what is meant when an individual considers the totality of their life and whether a relationship is right for them. The first question should be, do I want one? Regardless of the answer, it should be largely dependent on the second question, is a relationship right for me? Put differently, am I suited for a relationship? Indeed, can you handle the responsibilities that come along with it? Not enough people ask themselves these questions, and the results usually become more disastrous as time passes. It is already bad enough when one immature individual enters a relationship, but if two immature people come together who clearly have not considered the implications, then all hell breaks loose. Know thyself, and to appreciate this fully, a person must realize the entirety of their person. Are they lazy? Are they non-committal? Are there any characteristics that might get in the way of a relationship's success? If so, they must be addressed before one can entertain a relationship. Timing is crucial in relationships because one partner may deem it to be a good time to engage, while the other may feel the opposite. Time constraints, family issues, emotional baggage, whatever the case may be, there is some justification for the reluctance. If a person is hesitant to enter a relationship, perhaps they have thought things through as they should have. They are not so hasty to act because they realize how detrimental it could become. Committing oneself without proper thought is like cliff jumping without checking the depth of the water below. It may not seem so bad after the initial jump, but once you hit the water, or the rocks for that matter, reality makes itself known in no uncertain terms. The ultimate point in saying all of this is to be cautious. Think carefully about what you want and whether a relationship is included in the plan. Ask yourself if now is a good time, or if you should wait for more favorable circumstances. Maybe a relationship is not in the game plan. Not now, Not ever. Regardless of whether you want one or not, if you have a clear indication of where you want to go with it, then you are set. Relationship or no relationship, the importance lies in coming to a conclusion after extensive deliberation, rather than impulsive, heat-of-the-moment action. To conclude now, no further elaboration is required as it will be saved for another day. The topic of relationships and love has a multitude of dimensions, and so we will return to them in the future. With today's discussion, the message to take away is that careful deliberation is fundamental. Relationships, no matter where they lead and what repercussions arise, are not to be taken lightly. They will demand a considerable effort to maintain, and not everyone is willing to put forth that effort, nor are they mature enough to handle the responsibilities. To fully comprehend this notion requires an in-depth understanding of yourself. You need to know what you desire, what you do not desire, and how you operate. Your habits and conduct largely determines how you function. If you have good habits, this will lead to productive conduct. However, if you have negative habits, they will only serve as vices that cause problems further down the road. For those who desire a relationship, conquer yourself and overcome any personal impediments beforehand. Only then will you give yourself a viable shot at succeeding. For those who know they do not want a relationship, focus on your priorities and aim to better yourself. Your satisfaction will come about because you refrain from deceiving yourself, from entering an undesirable situation. Maybe your desires will change, maybe they will not, but the key idea is that you have thought about it carefully. Either way, you can rest assured with your decision as it came about with sound and deliberate judgment.